I mean, when you think about, if you're familiar with the Gospels, when you think about Jesus' ministry, like the people around Jesus were saying, no one has ever taught like him. He teaches as one who has authority. He doesn't teach like the other religious leaders, the priests and the scribes and the Pharisees. He is the best teacher. I mean, thousands of people would go to listen to him teach and preach. And yet the disciples don't say, Lord, teach us how to teach. Teach us how to really influence the crowd. How did you retain all those people for that long as you were talking? Where did you get those illustrations? You don't ever hear the disciples say to Jesus, Lord, teach us how to teach, or Lord, teach us how to do miracles. You know how you raised that guy from the dead the other day, or the person who had leprosy? The little girl who was sick, who you raised up, who had a fever. Jesus, teach us how to do miracles. How did you do that? The disciples don't say, teach us how to do miracles. Isn't it interesting that of all the things recorded in the Gospels that the disciples of Jesus say, Lord, teach us how to do this, they say, would you teach us how to pray? And don't you think that's something that we could also say to the Lord? And one of my hopes is that as we enter into this study over the next several weeks in the Lord's Supper, that our attitude, our heart would be, Lord, teach me. Teach me how to pray. Now, prayer is one of those things that I think as Christians, most of us would have no problem saying, this is an area where I could grow. This is not an area that I'm perfect in. Here's an area of my life where I feel like my prayers, my time with God could be better. Lord, teach me how to pray. And it's really interesting because the disciples, I think one of the reasons they asked Jesus this question, at least in Luke's gospel, is because they got to see Jesus over and over again in his ministry going and praying to the Father. Especially in Luke's gospel, it says that over and over Jesus would go to desolate places where nobody else was there, where he couldn't be bothered, and he would pray. Or perhaps you remember that scene in the Gospels where Jesus goes up on the mountain by himself. He sends the disciples away. He says, I don't want you guys there for this, go away. And he prays all night before the Lord. The disciples got to see Jesus over and over again. And one of the things that they saw characterized his ministry was that Jesus was a man of prayer, if you will. The God-man of prayer. And so they say, Lord, tell us how to do it. How do you pray like that? Teach us how to pray.